Well, hey there, party people. It's Friday, and it's another opportunity for us to sit and chat here at the Coffee and Tea Lounge. I'm so excited to have you guys as a part of our show today. I'm kind of excited about this show just because of the topic, but most importantly, because of my guests. I always get excited when I have new people come on and be a part of the show because there's always something that happens, some level of shenanigans that go on. And one of these folks has been on my show before, and every time he's on my show, some level of shenanigans happen. But his better half is going to be on the show as well. So maybe she'll be able to keep him in line this time. But we can't really make any real promises. So I've been talking about this for like a week, and our show topic today, as you can see, is on submission. And with today's dating culture, with today's marital culture, I don't really know if people understand or really want to deal with the topic of submission. So I am super, super, super happy to have this conversation. Let's go ahead and share. Let's go ahead and shout out that you guys are here. Let us know what's going on, where you're watching from, all that kind of jazz. Um, as an introduction to the show, let's talk about the biblical definition of submission. So when you go into the Bible dictionary and you look up the word submission, it says that submission is an act of yielding one's rights, desires, and preferences to another person or entity with humility and respect. Submission is a sign of trust and obedience and not weakness. And in today's culture, it's kind of really in the opposite direction. When we start talking about submission, especially for us, of the female gender, we start getting attitudes and all this other kind of stuff. And then as far as our male counterparts are concerned, they feel as though, well, God told me to lead, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I don't have to be submissive. What's up to my brother Charles? Hey Charles. If you guys have not, thank you Charles for popping in and saying hey, because that kind of sparks my brain. If you guys have not had a chance to listen to the newest episode of the Husband's Lounge, you guys need to jump on that. So it's the Husband's Lounge, Charles Pratt, Anthony Johnston. You can catch it wherever you get your podcast. It's such a good podcast. But this show about empty nesters is such good topic. So y'all need to, not right now, but after my show, y'all go over and run over there to Spotify and iPodcast or Apple Podcast and get a chance and listen to that. So when it comes to what our counterculture is with submission, we kind of got it a little twisted. So I'm gonna bring on my guest. Oh, you're welcome, sweetheart. I'm going to bring on my guests so we can go ahead and have this conversation with them because I am interested to see what they're going to say. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Kevin and Viva Gross. Hi, guys.
Hey.
I'm ready to say, don't look so excited. Like, y'all.
Just coming from work.
Y'all don't know that they was fighting before we got on here. Not like bad fighting, but Kevin started some stuff and Viva finished it. So I'm just
first of all, stop. I'm about to do it again. So we were backstage. I'm being goofy, and she over here like hitting me. Stop. And see, she pinching me. See, I am not the bad parent. What up, bro? I'm not the bad spouse. It's her. She's the abusive one.
How dare you?
I'm daring.
How dare you?
Everybody thinks she's like, oh, she's so sweet and cute and lovable, and she is until stop. See, see, she going pinches. Who pinches a grown man? This person.
I mean, pinching never goes out of style. What are you talking about?
It does. When I turn over 18.
No,
it doesn't. Grandmother. You make somebody grandmother.
Hey, Charles, don't be co-signing for Kevin now. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Hey, thank you, Charles. My man.
Absolutely not. So, Kevin, Viva, introduce yourselves. Tell us how long you've been married, and then give me the short version, not the extended
There is
director's
no
cut
short version.
I need the Cliff
Right.
Notes,
Right.
the Cliff Notes version to your love story.
All right, so for the coffee and tea people, y'all already know who I am. I am one half of the dynamic duo known as Two Fat Guys Podcast. I am Crazy Kevin, and this is my beautiful Red, my spouse, my part of the air that I breathe on a daily basis. This is my wife, Viva. Viva and I have been married for 9 years this past July. It'll be 10 next year. All together, on and off, we've been together 26, 27 years on and off.
Yep.
And the Cliff Notes is I met her some time ago.
96, 97.
Well, before then, I met her twice. So
Okay.
it's kind of crazy. So the first time I met her through a mutual friend, and we were just like passerbyers. And then when the second time I met her was through another unknown mutual friend. And we had clicked, we got together, we started talking, then we started dating, and yeah, and we probably would have been married for over 20 years if I wasn't a knucklehead and thinking with the wrong head instead of the right head.
That's honest, though. That's honest.
I mean, yeah, no, definitely. I admit, I tell people all the time it was me. You know, it's because she was very patient, very loving. So you ain't got a cosign. But she's always been patient, always been loving. Even in my first marriage, you know, she didn't do anything sideways, but she was always there as a friend. You know, so yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, all right. So, y'all heard me talk about, I hope y'all heard me, talk about the biblical definition of submission. So let's go back to when you guys were dating at any point in time that you guys were dating, since it was on and off. Did the topic of submission ever come up, or was it just kind of a natural thing? Did it even happen at all when you guys were dating?
When we were dating, no.
I don't know.
No, it was never an issue or a topic because this is me speaking personally, and she can, you know, speak for herself. But me personally at that time, it wasn't about submission. It was just whatever happens, happens. You know, as long as we can agree on stuff and get stuff done as a unit, I'm okay with that. You know, like submission really didn't come into our idea until we got engaged the third time, and we actually did. Yeah,
I see that look.
And we did premarital counseling with our pastor.
Okay. So when you guys had the conversation with your pastor about submission, was your view coming into it more of a mutual thing, or was it more of a one-sided thing? Like, Kevin, did you think all of the submission had to come from her? Viva, did you think all the submission had to come from him, or was there some level of understanding prior to the premarital conversation?
He looking at me. I'm going to say it was in between. We both had come to an understanding on both parts.
Okay, I looked at you first because I've been talking most of the time. You know, this is a three-way conversation. So, for me, it was. I'm not even gonna lie. It wasn't like I'm the man, but it was, you know, submission. Not. I don't even like using that term anymore because it sounds so barbaric and cavemanish. But it was like, you know, submit to me. Like I'm the man. I'm the head. Like you gotta follow my lead and do as I say. But as time went on and just learning through life lessons and looking back at like other married couples I've seen that's been married for like 30 plus years or whatever, and I've learned that there's a balance when it comes to the submission. But I also say as the husband, as the head, you have to be able to take charge at times, and she has to be able to follow you when you take charge. So I think that's where that part of that equally yoke comes into play.
Okay.
That's definitely part of submission. It's finding that equally yoke balance because when I fall short, she picks up, and when I see that she's strong in something, I can't let my male ego get in the way. I have to fall back, and she does, and submit to what she does better than me.
So, and you guys have children, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What's the age ranges of your kids?
24, 20, and 16.
Going on 26. Because it's a girl.
So what's that? Wait a minute. What's that supposed to mean?
Y'all see, all right. You know what? I'm gonna be a buck. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. My sons, they was cool. They knew, like, all right, you know when to fall back, when to step, when to fall back, when to step. She don't know when to fall back.
She don't.
She just like I'm gonna do this my way, and whatever happens, happens. But that's not how it works, yo. Like you can't. So she built different. I love her to death, but she built different.
Okay.
So her brother said she got this.
So in looking at the dating relationships of your older children, even your daughter, I don't know if she's allowed to date at this point or not.
She's not allowed, but she does.
Okay, well there you have it. Have you all had conversations with your kids in their dating phases about like dating towards marriage and the conversation about submission? Because you have 2 boys and then you have a girl, so you have both sides of the relationship in conversation, so to speak. So have you guys ever had that conversation, plan on having that conversation, stuff like that?
I don't think I know we never had that conversation.
Never.
But I think when that time comes, when they decide to say, hey, like my son Damon is like madly in love with the woman, the young girl that he's with now, like he loves her to death. Like my son, and as a father, he's proud to see her actually in love.
Okay.
Like, and I always pick with him, like, you better not let her go. He was like, what are you talking about? I'm going to marry that girl one day. I was like, oh, okay, bet. So, and when either one of my sons comes to the point of when they're ready to get married, then we'll have that conversation about submission and being ahead and knowing when to fall back and so forth and so on. And we'll have that same conversation with my daughter because in reality, my daughter's very strong-minded.
Okay.
So, whatever man ends up with her, he's going to have to be stronger. He's going to have to learn how to combat that because she's very strong-minded. She's very opinionated. So, and that's going to be a conversation that her mother and I will have with her about learning to fall back when you have to. You know, not when you want to, but when you have to. Because sometimes people confuse the two.
Okay. So let's rewind the clock just a little bit and go into your last phase of dating. Don't be smart.
You said rewind.
You know what? Let's look at the last phase of the last time that you dated, like right before you got married.
Okay.
If you could look at your relationship then, what would submission have looked like in that dating phase of your relationship?
I ain't got the slightest clue. I'm being honest with you. I ain't got the slightest clue. And I think she can probably co-sign with that.
Yeah.
Because it was
no clue.
We
at
were
all.
As crazy as it sounds until we learned how to. What was the love language?
Mm-hmm.
Until we learned our love language from each other, we were combative.
Okay.
So once we learned the love language, oh yeah, we still fight. That's just being a couple.
I'm about to say we still fight.
Yeah, we had an argument Sunday before church. But
now you sound like Brian.
Look, it happens. It's real. But once you learn that love language, and then you learn that, understanding that person. So I think that was my issue, was not knowing her and just taking her stubbornness as being, yes, you're stubborn, as being combative. But I know that about her. Like, I know she's stubborn. I'm stubborn too. But being combative and like not letting me be, I guess you can say, the head. even though we weren't married yet, but we was living as a married couple. We was acting as a married couple because we was engaged. We was living together, had our kids and everything. And so I think when it boiled down to it was just learning each other's love language and being able to understand each other better. At that time, we didn't know that. We didn't understand each other, even though we had been together. Because I realized you can be with somebody and not understand them at all. You know, like I know what makes her happy and I know what kind of makes her tick, but at the same time, I didn't know all the stuff that was going on inside her head because I didn't know her love language. Like, I'm the affectionate one. She's not. You know, like I'm the affectionate one. Like I'm the one that'll stare at her and be like she'll be watching TV eating, I'll just be looking at her. And she'll look at me and go, why are you looking at me? So I can't look at you?
But I think you bring up a good point. And when you don't know the other person, it makes it hard for you to be vulnerable and to allow yourself to be open with that person. So just taking what y'all said, this is your second marriage, and this was like the third time y'all had gotten together. So where was your level of trust with each other at that third junction?
And see, that's a good thing. That's one of the things I had to take into consideration because I did so much to her prior to this, like all the hurt that I put her through. So I had to understand, like, I know she loves me and I know she wants to be with me, but she's not at the point to where she's like, all right, I'm going to fall back and let him lead because she's going to reflect back on like the times when she did that in the past and the stuff that I did.
Things that he's done and look at the situations that my grandparents and my parents went through. So
right.
That's the block right there.
So yeah, when you see that coming up, like, and then you kind of go through it, it makes you not want to submit to somebody. It makes you not want to, at least to the person that claims to love you. And yet you say you love me, but yet you keep hurting me. So no, I'm not going to submit or surrender myself to you in that way.
Okay.
No, I'm going to be on guard.
Right. So here y'all get married. And you're going through the premarital counseling and you finish and you walk down the aisle and you say I do, and then all these types of things, and then here's marriage. Who's submitting first? Who's saying, all right, I'm a trust what you're saying, what you're doing, and where you trying to take us?
And see, that's the crazy part because that was another conflict. But it wasn't like a verbal conflict. It wasn't something that was said out loud. It was just those things that happened because now in my head, I'm the husband now. I'm not your fiance, I'm your boyfriend, I'm your husband. So you gotta follow me. You gotta do what I say. That was my mentality. And yeah, caveman. That's what it was. I mean, and realistically speaking, that is. And biblically speaking, when you hear that, Bible says that a woman must submit, or submit. That's what you think of. Like you thinking of, Bible says you got to do what I say because I'm the head of the household. But you really sit down and dissect what it says, though, and I think growing up in the church and you hear scriptures, but nobody never breaks down these most quoted scriptures. They take them at face value, and it's more to it than what it's saying. And then you realize that submission is on both parts. It's on both parts. So I had to learn how to, like I said, fall back and just like, all right, my caveman mentality ain't working. If anything, it's pushing her further away from it.
And I still had to learn because when I was younger, and I did start going to church. In my household, granted, my grandparents raised me. I did know my parents. They came to see me. But in my household, I was the first one to start going to church.
Mm-hmm.
Not my grandparents. When I started going to church, then that's when my grandparents started going to church.
I
Okay.
was Roy a deacon.
He was a deacon, but I started going to church first. Then that's when both of my grandparents started going to church, but they went to separate churches because my grandmother went to her sister's church. My grandfather went to a friend of his church, and it still worked out till my grandfather passed. But that's how it was. So I didn't have that person to look up to far as church.
Okay. Did you guys have role models with regards to like how marriage worked and visibly being able to see submission in other relationships that were around you? Let it all be grandparents, godparents, friends, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts.
Primarily for me, it was my parents. So, like, I always tell people it's always fun because my parents didn't get married until I was 13. So, they were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, it was her fault." It was. No, like real.
Adam. All right, Adam, keep blaming Eve for stuff. Keep
No,
playing.
no. If my
I
mother,
heard the story.
if my mother was around, she would say it was her because my father asked her 3 times. So, like, I cut up 3 times. He asked her 3 times.
Okay.
So 3 is a trending number in our family with us males. So it was the first time she said no because she wasn't ready. Second time she was like, "No, I told you I don't want to get married." That was like me personally. If I ask you twice, you tell me no twice. I ain't gotta be with you. I can raise my kids and pay my child support and go about my business. But my father loved my mother. So third time he asked, she finally said yes. So when they got married when I was 13, that's when I learned and people, I always say my mother up front ran the house,
Mm-hmm.
but my father called the shots in the back.
Okay.
So like my mother handled the finance, and that's when I started to learn like what they're strong in a marriage. So my mother was better at certain things, my father was better at certain things. So that's when I started to learn, oh, okay. And my father gave my mother a lot of leeway to do stuff, take care of stuff without him intervening because he knew that's what she was strong at.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every so often, they'll be fussing and she'll be like, da 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 da. And he be like, hey. And she be like, all right, I'm sorry, baby. And she'll fall back because my father rarely raised his voice. So if he raised his voice, it was like, all right, you crossed the line. And then she will fall back. It was like, she'll remember, you know what, you are the head of this house. And then, I would never hear her apologize, but her actions would go, all right, yeah, I'm gonna fall back.
Okay. So what did you learn from that example though?
I've learned that it's give and take. It's give and take, and that my father was a husband first and her friend second. So, and I think a lot of people kind of get that misconstrued. It was a conversation that she and I have had, and
Okay.
which is, I'm always going to be your friend. I was your friend before. I'm your friend during, but at the end of the day, I'm your husband first because that's the title, that's the charge I took from God. That was a responsibility that God gave to me when I asked you to marry me and you agreed to marry me. We said I do. So I took that charge. So when it comes to that, that's when she has to go, okay, I do need to fall back because you are my husband. Because I don't sugarcoat things when I'm in husband mode.
Mm.
In friend mode, I'll sugarcoat it for you. But if I'm in husband mode, I'm not going to sugarcoat it because I can't sugarcoat because I can't afford to sugarcoat it. Because now I have to assert myself as your husband. That deep husband first, friend second. That's deep. Okay. Because I'm going to have to insert myself as the husband. So when I do that, that's me saying, I need you to submit. I need you to fall back. Because I need to take care of this. Now I'm going to need you to help me take care of it, but this is how it has to get done. And when she understands that, she was like, she don't like it. She don't, but she understands because it's bigger than us.
Well, here's that question. Like, how do you deal with a difference of opinion, I guess, or how do you deal with arguments in that submissive moment? Like you just said, she'll do it, but she ain't gonna like it. What happens when it's something that she really don't like and she really don't understand why you're doing it, and uh she don't
Yes,
want
you
to
can
do
steal
it?
it, Charles. Yes, Charles, you can steal it. It is all yours, buddy. You can have it. um,
That's gonna be his next intro.
right. Um, we have one of the things I try to get her out of, which I was guilty of too. We will have arguments and no conclusion, and like
Okay.
no closure.
No
Like we'll argue
resolution.
about it, then we'll go about our business, and then we'll come back like nothing ever happened.
Mm.
And I realized that's not good. That's actually toxic. So when I do the insertion of the husband thing, like I'm being the husband, and she doesn't like it, I tell her, I know you don't like it, and I understand, but it has to be done. Now I tell her the same thing I tell the kids, you can choose to accept and move on, or you can sit here and pout about it. But either way, it's gonna get done. So, and then we can come back later and talk about it. And we come back and talk about it. She's like, well, it's normally the way I present things to her that she gets offended. She's like, well, you could have said this to me. You could have said it this way, or da 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 da. And I tell her, in that moment, I can't present it to you that way.
Stop waiting till the last moment.
It's not always the last moment. It's not always the last moment. And it's like,
real specific.
right. But sometimes I do procrastinate with certain things. I'm not going to lie about that. But if it's something of the utmost important, whatever. The utmost important is not.
Uh-huh.
I'm bringing it to your attention immediately. So
here again, here's a caveat to that. So we talked, and you said that submission is on both sides. So when it's her opportunity to lead in something or take charge in something, and it's not something that you necessarily want to do, or something you may not necessarily agree with, is that same mutual respect that you want her to give to you, are you giving that to her in return?
yes, I'm going to voice how I feel. But if her solution or her decision or whatever she comes up with is the best solution, I'm gonna roll with it. I may not agree with it in the moment, but if it works, it works. And the same goes for me. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, okay, let's go back. Do you have another idea for this? And it's the same. So if I let her lead, and then something happens, and it doesn't get the results that she wants, or that we want, I should say, then we go back to the drawing table. All right, we tried it your way. Let's try it this way.
Okay. If it worked, it worked, right?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, every marriage isn't the same. Everybody can't use the same philosophy that we use. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I don't know Charles. I know Charles has been married for a little while, but I know him and his wife, from what I've heard, they have a great dynamic and a great communication between them. We didn't always have great communications between us. So, and my wife sometimes has RBS. So
I knew that was coming.
So she do. So sometimes she has no resting syndrome. But that's when I ask her, because I always pick whatever, like, you good? She like, yeah. I'm like, just smile. Because I can't tell if you're upset with me or upset in general, or are you just like being you. So I'm like, just smile. Like, just smile a little bit. So that's when I get confused. Like, did I do something? Like, hey,
you gotta think back.
Right. So I'm like,
I make them think sometimes.
And I don't like that. I don't appreciate that. I don't. I really don't.
But that's her level of communication
That's not communication, that's torture.
I don't like it when I write. Once upon a time, I used to write letters to get all my feelings out. And he don't like it when I write. My thing is, I found that comfortable for me due to the fact of my childhood.
Okay.
So what did I tell you recently? What have I told you recently though?
I felt comfortable in that. Now he said it's okay for me to start writing letters.
Right.
But once upon a time, he hated it when I wrote letters. But that's the way I could get everything I needed to say out on paper and give it to him or give it to the children. Because I wasn't able to talk as a child.
Okay.
What was the point of squinting and rolling the eyes for?
Because I can do that.
This is why I like people catch a bad rap.
But that's also a really good point, because I know a lot of people, and some of these stories I've heard in some of my friendships, my friends' marriages and relationships, that people tend to lose themselves when they get married. It's you become what the other person, wants or has needed or what have you. And in submission, I think a lot of misconception is that when I get married, I have to conform to whatever my husband wants me to, or I have to conform to whatever my wife wants me to. So, how do you guys keep your own autonomy and individuality when it comes to like your relationship within your marriage? Like when you have to submit, how do you just deal with the level of submission and being you versus being what he wants or what she wants you to be?
For me, I never wanted to marry somebody like me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want you to conform to me. Like I don't want you to be my best friend because I got a best friend. I don't want you to be my most perfect confidant. I had that in God. If I can come to talk, I can come talk to you. I need you to be the same person that you was when I met you. I need you to be the person that made me fall in love with you in the beginning, but just on a mature level now, because we're not dating, we're married. So I need you to be a little bit stronger. I need you to be a little bit faster. I need you to be a little bit wiser than what we both was, and that's expected of me too. I put that same on myself. So I don't want to be with somebody that's going to. It's like Coming to America. All right. This woman was raised. Remember Eddie Murphy Coming to America? Mm-hmm. She was raised to do whatever the prince liked and whatever he loved. So he was like, what music do you like? Whatever music you like, my prince. Stuff like that. I don't want that. I like the fact that she listens to, we have some of the same likes in music, but she doesn't like rock music. I like rock music. And that's okay. Like I don't want her to have to like rock music, and she knows that she doesn't have to like rock music in order for me to love her.
Mm-hmm. I love Tyler Perry movies and plays. He doesn't.
I don't like all the Tyler Perry stuff. I do. I don't like the Oval and crap like that. I don't like that. And I know his name was attached to it, but anyway, like perfect example. She loves reality TV. She loves Big Brother. She loves those shows like that. I'm not into it. I will watch it with her because she enjoys it. I don't always watch it with her. The last few episodes of Big Brother we watched together because I do want to show her like, hey, I'm kind of interested in what you do. Like she used to be in a wrestling. Y'all know, I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Don't I know it?
So she used to be in a wrestling. But then when a certain Samoan guy stopped wrestling, all of a sudden she's not a fan no more. And I'm fine with that.
I still watch it.
I'm fine with Sean watching she only watch it when he pops up.
She be in the comments on the show.
Yeah, you watched it Monday with me since when? Oh no, I'm sorry. You watched the PLE. You watched the pay-per-view on Saturday.
Thank you.
But you also fell asleep on it too.
Okay, that was the last match. Last match.
The most important match of the night.
I was tired.
I was tired too. Anyway.
But you're also watching for show content too, Kevin. So
I'm watching for show content and pleasure. Right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be pleasure first before show content.
Yes.
But we can enjoy stuff outside of each other because we enjoy stuff beforehand. Like I'm in a video game. She has a little classic Nintendo system that she likes to play. I'm into my PS5. I'm into the super fast stuff, and she's like, "Ding, ding, 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 ding." That's cool for her. That's her speed, and I'm okay with that. And I'll even join in sometimes when she got the Mario game on or something like that. We both like Tetris. We're both competitive when it comes to Tetris.
Okay.
So we have likes, and then we have things that we just like for ourselves, and that's okay. And I think if couples understand, you know what, this is her time, let her go do what she likes, let him go do what he likes, instead of you always trying to be underneath each other, it's cool. And that's part of that submission too. You know what? I know he likes that, so I'm gonna let him have that. I'm not always gonna be in his face. I know she likes that, so I'm not gonna always be in her face when she's doing that. But I know the invitation's there if I want to be part of it. Just like she knows the invitation's there if she wants to come be part of it. Because like this podcast, and I asked her, I was like, "Hey, Chris is doing a special podcast, and I want to know if you want to be part of it." And she was
I
like,
saw it first.
"Yeah, she did." She said, "I saw it." She said, "I saw it," and I was like, "Well, I haven't said anything to her yet, so do you want to do it?" Because I know how she is, and she's my wife is outgoing, but not when it comes to stuff like she's not like me, and that's fine.
I'm learning,
and she is, and this is a big step for her. So.
I like big steps, and I like that I get to be a part of the big step. So yay!
The whole time she's been over here fidgeting with her fingers. The whole time.
That's okay. That's completely fine. You'd be surprised all the stuff that I do with my hands, and trying to keep myself from spazzing out when I do these, especially when I do the ones where I do it by myself. So I completely understand. So even still, it seems like there's a lot of give and take. Is there ever a moment where you're having to assert the submissive or the submission, and it puts some wear and tear on the relationship?
Yes and no. Not like so. Like I guess Sunday would be the best example because something was supposed to happen after church, and we got notified prior to church starting that it wasn't going to happen. And I tried to explain to her what was going on, and she caught.
I caught that attitude.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm the type of person. Like I said, my church is all family. But I'm not going to have an argument or a major discussion with you inside the church. And I know how it's going to be. So I want you to come outside with me so we can talk about this, get this settled, so we don't be sitting in church with contentious spirits. Because I can't enjoy service if I got a contentious spirit. Shouldn't be able to enjoy service. Because you got a spirit hanging over you that doesn't belong. So it took some convincing. But I got her to come outside, and even once we got outside, it still didn't settle anything. It actually worse. And part of me was like, in retrospect, maybe I should have left it alone. But at the same time, like I wanted to get this clear. So that was one of those moments that you just said where she wasn't willing to be submissive, but at the same time, neither was I.
But I had already told him I was already heard what was going on, and I let it go. I did tell you.
You did. But I know my wife, when she says I let it go, means I didn't, but I'm not pressed about it. But I know it's going to bother you. And if it's bothering you, it's going to bother me. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. I think sometimes that when you are with someone that long, and I don't think, and it's, I never understood it until I started to experience it, which is when she's hurting, I'm hurting. You know? So when she's upset about something, I'm upset about it too.
Okay.
Now, how I'm processing it is not the same way she's processing it. But I'm now upset because she's upset. So, and I know it's vice versa for her. When I get peed off about something, she's upset about it too.
Mm.
So that's why I wanted to settle it and be done with it. So it was like, all right, we're not doing this, so we can make other plans, which we wound up doing. We made other plans with other people from the church, and it still worked out to be a great Sunday. And that's what I was trying to get to. But because she was where she was at, even though she said she let it go, she still wasn't willing to hear it. And me being me, I'm trying to get her to hear it. And instead of just like falling back and being submissive in that moment. So in that moment, neither one of us was submissive.
Mm-hmm.
We was just at that moment, I was a jackass and she was a horse, and we couldn't plow the field together. We was going two separate directions, and we wasn't even equally yoked at that time. What are you moving for? My Donald Trump hands?
No, yeah.
My Donald Trump hands?
Let's not. Let's not even mention that.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm back.
See?
I'm back.
So, do you guys find that you exude any of the submissiveness in other areas of your life, workplace, other relationships, other mentorship relationships, etc.?
Yeah. My mentor, I call him my brother, but he's one of my ministers at the church. He's my mentor. So I'm submissive to him, but when he's giving me advice, I listen. You know, when he's trying to make me be a better preacher, a better father, a better husband, I listen to him. My brother, I'm the same way. Even though our political views don't line up, but I love my brother to death, and he's probably one of my closest confidants. If I'm going through something, I listen to what he has to say, because he's been married way longer than I have, and he's gone through a bunch of stuff. So just in life, and I guess most people are submissive on the workplace, unless you just that type of person that buck at your boss on a regular basis.
Some people are, dude. Like, you'd be surprised.
I'm not that guy. My boss asked me to do something. I'm like, oh, I got you. And my boss is younger than me, and people be like, "You call him sir?" Like, yeah, I'm gonna give him that respect because that's his title. He's still my boss because he's younger. Just because he's younger than me, don't make him less of a boss. He got that title for a reason. So you,
me on the other hand, one of my good friends, I call my sister, which he also calls his sister as well.
Ironically, a mutual friend that we both knew, but we didn't know until after we started dating.
Small to more.
It really is.
Yeah, if I'm going through something and I really need to talk to, that's who I really go to. Because, like I said earlier, blood family, I don't go to none of them.
Yeah, not so much.
I can't. I really can't. So I go to my best friend. I call my sister. She's been there from
ever.
Yeah, 8th grade. Since we were both in the 8th grade.
And the thing is, she can also call her my sister, my actual biological sister.
Okay.
On certain things. Yeah. Not everything. Not everything.
If it's dealing with me, she can call her.
Yeah. So that's who I really go to. Now, far as male figure, if I had to go to anybody, I have a good friend that became my husband's good friend as well. I go to him as well.
I know what you're talking about.
So, have you guys taken any of either the things that you've learned or the actions that you've learned in being submissive in these other relationships? Have you brought any of that to the level of submission or how you respond to submission in your marriage?
Yeah. Because it's not fair if you can be submissive to somebody else but not be submissive to your spouse. That's not fair. So if I can be understanding and submissive to my mentor, then why can't I not? And he's just my mentor. Like that, it's a different level of intimacy because he's my mentor. But this intimacy is completely on a whole nother record scale.
Yeah.
So if I can be submissive to him and hear what he has to say and follow his lead, why can I be submissive to her when I need to be and follow her lead?
You just gotta write it down to remember it.
What are you talking about? You just lost it.
Certain things I asked you to do. Put it in your calendar. Yeah, put it in your calendar.
Yeah, because I'll forget. Look. I had a lot of THC in my system in the 90s, okay? Got holes in my head. Got holes in my head.
No excuse, sir. No excuse. No excuse.
No, that's real.
How you forget my birthday?
It was one time. It was one time.
Kevin.
One time. So what happened?
Here comes the story. What happened was.
No, it wasn't even what happened was. This is literally what happened. A birthday was coming up. January 6th.
7th.
You know what, 7. I flipped the number because our kids' birthdays are on the 6th. Our son and our daughter birthday is on the 6th. So I always flip it. So 7th, there was a wrestling promotion by the name of Ring of Honor. It was coming to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And it fell on her birthday. So me and a mutual friend of ours, Chris Leonard Coleman, we bought tickets for the show. So we got the tickets, and I was telling Viva, I was like, yeah, the show is Saturday, and me and Leonard's going. And she kept looking at me all strange. And I'm looking at her like, why is she looking like I'm crazy? And my brain was like, the date's the 7th. I was like, yeah. And I immediately grabbed Leonard and took him outside. And I was like, yo, I mucked up real bad.
How you got his back?
Right, thank you. You only remember the bad, yo.
Nope.
How you got his back?
You know why? Because y'all have each other's back. Complete strangers, complete women strangers, have each other's back. And this happened. I picked her up from work one day. We get in the car. We're playing. All right, we're arguing with each other. This woman did not even see her. And she was like, you know she right, so stop arguing with her. And I turned, was like, where did she come from? Her husband was like, you know they stick together. I was like, I'm not even blown by that, but where did she come from? See, if more men stick together, we will be okay. Even if we wrong, we need to stick together. You see that love for you. If more men stick together, we'll be okay. We know we can be lying dead wrong. That's when your true best friend come through. But women, nah, y'all lie. Y'all don't even know each other. Mm-hmm. Don't even know each other. Yeah, I can go back to the story now because everything I just said is 100%.
I don't care.
Okay, see.
Hilarious.
Nah, so I still want to go into the show, but prior to her birthday, I did everything possible to make it up to her. And that was the only time I forgot your birthday. That was the only time, the one time I forgot your birthday the entire time we've been together.
See?
Keep the lie alive.
Right now. Keep the lie alive.
Look,
that's the problem right now.
So this is my mother told me. I tell my kids the same thing. If you're going to start off with a lie, keep it going.
You don't have to keep on lying.
Look, birthdays is a big deal. I had somebody, and granted, I wasn't married, but I was dating somebody, and you know, they kind of shysted me on my birthday. So I understand like how it feels to be shysted on your birthday. But how did you recover?
Oh, me or her?
Either.
I enjoyed what he did. But he had a whole lot of making up to.
Okay.
Because, granted, my birthday is basically 2 weeks after Christmas. So I'm not selfish. I'm not selfish around Christmas. Because we have children. We have children. So Christmas is for the kids. My birthday
Which two are grown now.
is my birthday. Did I enjoy my birthday as a child?
Okay, I get that, but that's why I always try to make your birthday special. Now, this month is my birthday. The only time of the year where I'm 100%, 1,000+% selfish is I'm not a selfish person by nature. Yeah, the recovery / makeup got to outweigh the offense. And it did. It did. It did. I know how to get myself out the door now.
You can't be the person that tells that degree. She got to be the person.
No, bump that. I'm telling that degree because I did it. It took some digging, but I did it.
He had help, but
okay. So you had help, which isn't bad. Sometimes you got to ask for an assist. No, that's no problem.
Yes.
But again, it flows into the whole situation about love and trust. And I think when it comes to submission, being somebody who's not married, who's never been married, when it comes into submission, that love and trust thing is a major part of that whole I submit to you, you submit to me situation. And when those two things are challenged, or those two things are shaken, or your love tank's not full, or your level of trust is low, it makes it harder for somebody to decide that they want to submit to you.
Now, and I agree with you 100%, but I also think even if you come from a place of no trauma, and and just out of natural instinct, you don't want to submit. It's still a problem because now you're causing conflict when it shouldn't have been done in the first place. Like, I get it why she acted the way she acted. I get why I acted the way I acted, because for my last marriage, I got hurt bad. So for me, it was, even though I know I loved her and I was in love with her and I knew that she was my rib, it was still hard to give her that trust, because I was never the type of person to bring in past relationship hurt to a new relationship.
But you do, like, regardless of how much we think that we've healed to some degree from that, you still bring it.
Yeah, but with this, it was blatant.
Yeah,
it was blatant.
It was, and the sad thing about it is, all our mutual friends kept on coming to me and telling me what was going on. And I'm like, I'm not with this man. I'm not with him. Why y'all keep on doing this? So it took some time. I was like, if this keep on happening, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him.
And we're not going to get into all the particulars because I don't know who's watching. But because I did share this on my I did do a highlight on my Facebook page for this. So I don't know who's watching. But those who know. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I carried a lot of pain from that into this, which I also blame myself because I shouldn't have jumped back in. Like, I dated post, so to speak, post marriage, but I should have just chilled for a while and just reconnected, do me. And I had my sons with me at the time. Like, my daughter wasn't living with me yet, so it was just me and my boys. So it was like, okay, and that should have been what my focus was, and it was for them. Like 98% of the time, it was. But things happen for a reason. God put people in your life to be a season or to be a lifetime. And the funny story is that she was supposed to be a season, so I thought. And that's when I realized God has other plans. Like, no, she was. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, and she knows this, so it's not like anything I haven't told her. Like, no, when I met you that summer, it was supposed to be for that summer, okay? How'd you wind up living with me and we having this kid and getting engaged and breaking up and getting back together? I don't know how any of that happened. And then I just realized God has a twisted sense of humor. So God was
His mother even had to tell him. His sister even had to tell him.
Yeah, so one of the last things my mother told me before she passed is she told me either marry her or leave her alone.
I know that's right. That's right.
my mother loved her, loved her to death, and my sister loves her, and it's about everybody. My family loves you. So, and it's just funny because it was like, all right, okay, and I'm gonna tell you how funny God works, and how guilt hits you when you don't expect it to hit you.
Man, listen.
So the Life Jennings is probably one of my favorite R&B artists. Okay, you want R&B, soul, whatever, and I want to say it was on his Lucid album, but he had a song called Boomerang. And I was messing with somebody that did to me what I did to her.
Mm.
And and I'm listening to the song Boomerang, and I was like, it was that epiphany. It was like, dang.
Mm-hmm. Boy, that conviction is serious.
It is. It is, because I was like, damn, this is what I've been doing to her. Because it's a part of the song that says it's not fun when the rabbit has the gun. And I was like, it hit me. I was like, all right, I'm going to get right. I'm going to get right so I can be right for her. And then, what's my man? Anthony Hamilton has a song called Her Heart. And part of the song says, her heart won't let me lose her. No matter how hard I try. All right, I had to get myself together. It says, no matter how hard I try, her love won't let me say goodbye. So I was like, yo, what the? All right, God. All right, I hear you. All right, got you. And it was so much going on at that time. I lost my mother. And it was just like, maybe I was just feeling it. And it was like, nah, God was like, this is the woman. You've been praying and praying for me to give you somebody. And I gave her to you in 1998. I gave her to you in 1998. You just didn't know what to do with it. So now you know. Get your life together. So, yeah.
And you got it together.
Got it together. And
And
I own that, but it takes us. We still battle. We still go ahead, head to head sometimes. But when we need to fall back, we know when to fall back. And like at the end of the day, she is my red. She makes me whole. She completes me, and she is my Eve, and I'm her Adam, and it's crazy. So just like Eve drove Adam crazy, she drives me crazy. But
all right.
Drive her crazy.
We don't have no proof of that. So. So as we come to a close to wrap up the show, when it comes to folks who are watching that either want to get married or are married, you guys have been married almost a decade, but you've been with each other off and on for 2 decades. What advice would you be able to give to someone about being submissive to your spouse?
Shut up.
Listen.
Shut up and listen. That's part of being submissive. You have to be able to know when to shut your mouth. And we both still struggle with that at times because sometimes she feels like she's not being heard. And I had this big thing though, and I'm working on it. Well, I know what she's going to say, so I have a tendency to interject. And I know it bothers her, but in my mind, I'm like, if I know what you want to say, let's just say it so we can move on to the next, But I have to work on that part of me just falling back. And so I still struggle with that submissive part, just letting her talk. So the best advice I give is to shut up. Shut up. I see her. Shut up and listen. That goes for both parties.
Okay.
Because you don't hear the other person, then you don't know what to do. And speaking as a man, don't try to fix everything. Sometimes your wife just wants to talk. And sometimes her talking fixes her problem. So you have to learn how to be submissive to let her just talk. You have to learn how to be submissive as a man to not to want to fix her problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because as men, we're pre-programmed. You come to me, I got a problem. Let's let's go. Nah, but okay, what's the problem? Because that's also being submissive. Not always been on the attack. Not always been on the attack. Because like I said, men were just pre-programmed to, oh, my wife is hurting, I gotta go break somebody's face. Oh, not in that sense, but it's if she's hurting, I have to make her feel better.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes she don't want you to make her feel better. She just wants you to fall back and let her talk.
That's all.
So, and even if she repeat the same thing that you don't heard 1,000 times before, fellas, because in our head, like, I don't heard this story. That's fine, because you gonna hear 1,000 more times.
I'm being honest. I have said things multiple times, but I might have said it different ways multiple times.
But it's the same thing she told me before. But I did not know it, but I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna let her talk. You know, because I know 9 out of 10 times I'm gonna be like, hey, babe, how was your day at work? These idiots. And that was on Monday. Hey, Tuesday, how was your day at work? I work with a bunch of ignorant people. You just said that Monday, but you called them idiots. You see what I'm saying? So it's the same.
But they was being idiots on Monday. Now they're being ignorant on Thursday. Like, it's different.
No, but it's the same to as men. It's the same. It's the same gripe. I get it. You don't like your coworkers, okay? I get it.
I'm not just saying my coworkers, though.
No, I know you said the customers too. You work in retail, so that happens. But so, but my point is, just fall back. Like, as men, don't always try to fix the problem. I think that's one of the things I had to beat into my head. And other men, veteran married men, had told me, stop trying to fix our problem. Like, you want to be a good husband? You want to be a submissive husband? Shut your mouth. Being quiet is part of being submissive. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. They think, oh, the wife has to be quiet all the time. Like, you know, kind of like when you're a child, be seen and not heard. This is not 1940s. This is not the 20s. This is different. We're in a different time span now.
We just want to vent at times, like, yo.
Right. And we have to understand that. And like, once you vent, and it may come off sarcastic, but it was like, you good now? Like, anything else you want to say? And it doesn't mean to come off that way, but just like, I just want to make sure that before I get up and walk away, you're done. Like, you got everything that you needed to get out, because I get it now. I'm your sounding board. Now, if you ask me, what do you think you should do about it, then I'm going to give you my opinion. But I want you to ask me first. Because if you don't ask me, that means that you never wanted my opinion first.
Mm-hmm.
It does one of the things I had to learn. So it's different levels to submission in a marriage, in a relationship, and you just going to have to learn them. And a lot of times it's trial and error, you know. So.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest piece of it all, is that when it comes to submission, we do have a biblical understanding or a biblical example of what submission is supposed to be. We have scripture that tells us how we should respond and how we should act in submission. But at the end of the day, we're all living, breathing people, and there are always nuances to every relationship. So we have to apply what we've learned to our relationships and then function with that understanding in the relationship. And every time that we do it, we're not going to get it right. Every time that we want our spouse to be submissive, it may not happen at that point. And there are a lot of factors that come into that. But it doesn't mean that because it didn't work out the first time or the 10th time or the 150th time that you say, oh, well, submission don't work, so now I'm not going to do it. No, it really does take an understanding of who that other person is, what level of trauma that they have that's either resolved or unresolved, and how you two understand each other to make this whole submission thing work. So if you are in a relationship, whether you're dating, whether you are married for a year, 5 years, 10 years, like, no matter what span of time you've been together, like, submission takes work. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that and don't give up. If they're not submissive this time, there's always another time.
And have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Have that conversations with your person that you're in a relationship with. And I feel like if we'd have had that conversation, a lot of the stuff that we went through in our marriage, we probably could have avoided. You know, so definitely have that conversation and get an understanding. And I really think and I know I might get some flack for this, but I don't think enough women ask men what do they expect from them as their significant other. Because
Well, first,
because
let's have a conversation about, do men know what they want? Do either party know what they want
all right,
for that?
so here's the thing: you do got men that know what they want, but they don't know what they want. You see what I'm saying? So like, what I mean by that is, people go, I want to marry a woman that that every day I come home is a hot meal and the house is clean, the kids taken care of. I'm like, dude, that was your mother. Like your mother did all that. He's like, yeah. So you want to marry your mother. So in retrospect, you have an idea of a woman that's your mother. Because I guarantee you're not going to meet a woman like that, especially nowadays. Unless she's like very old school, you have to have the realization of it. So you have to have that conversation, the expectancy on both sides. But I think, and like I said, for most of the time, is women need to ask the men, what do you expect from me as your wife? Because we already have an idea what you expect from us as your husband. You expect us to provide, make sure the lights is on, food is in the house, do the man thing. I'm using air quotes because I know it's 21st century. But I don't think, and like I said, I could be wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong for any of the ladies that's watching. I don't think a lot of women ask men what do we expect from them. And I think that question should be asked. And like I said, it goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
But me and her have been together for so long, she knew what I expected. Just like I knew what she expected from me.
I just want to say so.
And she got somebody talk.
Well, and I think too, your expectations change over time.
It does.
Like, I think there will always be gender roles, quote unquote. Um, and I think those gender roles have been drilled into us for, as long as we can remember, in stories and movies and cartoons, all that kind of stuff that we used to watch, and listen to as kids, kind of shaped our thought processes. And then you get into real life dating situations, and your expectation is something, and then based on your environment, your expectation is something. So yeah, I think the conversation should be had, um,
So
on both ends. But I think too that when you care enough about a person, sometimes your what you expect changes.
right. So like I touched on it earlier. Cosby Show.
Mm,
Claire and Cliff was very affectionate to one another. Very affectionate. He could rub her feet, she'll massage him, play with his neck. So and as I thought that was cute. So growing up, I'm like, I want that. That's the
hmm
type of woman I want. That's the kind of relationship I want to be in. And like I said earlier, I am the affectionate one in the relationship. She's not. And it's like, okay,
It does hurt.
do I really want to be with somebody that's not as affectionate as me? But then, like I said, you go through counseling and you realize your love language.
hmm
So I'm the affectionate one. And just because she's not like touchy feely affectionate back towards me does not mean that she's not affectionate. She's affectionate in her own way. And I
Yeah.
had to learn to accept that. So when you realize that you are, like you said, your acceptance of things change and your expectation of things change. I sometimes still wish that she was a little bit more affectionate? Yes, I do. You know, but I also accept the fact she's not. So, and I'm okay with that because I knew at the end of the day who I was marrying and what I was getting.
Yeah.
So, and she has her moments. She has her moments.
I guess.
She's like, I guess.
Yeah,
No, I'm saying I do. It's just
Like I would never catch her looking at me, just randomly staring at me in awe. She'll never do that. I'm the one that's like, and my mom, like, that's my wife right there. That's my rib. That's my boo. That's my baby. Yeah, thank you, God. And she'll look at me and go,
What are you looking at?
Right. Like, why are you staring at me? I'm staring at my wife. I can't look at my wife. She was like, yeah, I guess, but you're creeping me out. How am I creeping you?
Because you're staring, sir. Because you're staring.
Because I love you.
Oh, well, I thank you guys for being a part of the conversation. Viva, I do ask all of my guests, and Kevin, you can answer again just because, since it's our first time and everything. So you just gotta go with the flow. All of my guests I ask, are you a coffee or tea person? And to whichever side of the fence you lean on, what is the drink that you go to?
I drink both. That's a thing.
Okay.
Matter of fact.
Hey, no, we don't plug them because they ain't got no check.
I got tea right now, but I drink coffee on Sunday.
She prefers iced coffee.
Okay.
I will drink iced coffee all year round.
But she'll drink iced coffee all year round. She's a savage. I can't do it in the wintertime. Her tea preference is hot peppermint tea.
Okay.
She likes peppermint tea. I don't know why she didn't mention that, but you already know I'm a coffee guy. Give me my hot coffee. I'll drink iced coffee in the summertime when it's met to be drank.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Look,
nobody
said that. People drink hot coffee in the summertime.
There's something wrong with you.
But here's the thing. The reason why I do coffee all year round is because of my grandfather.
That has nothing to do with
it. It do so, because my grandfather used to leave coffee for me and put ice chips in it.
So first of all, your grandfather was given a child caffeine.
Yep.
A hyper child caffeine.
I wasn't hyper as you.
The devil's a liar.
I was not hyper as you.
Point is, you were still hyper.
Not as much.
You ain't gotta be as much as me. Hyper is hyperness.
Not as much as you.
Anyway.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys being vulnerable, sharing your story, and really giving us some insight to your relationship. So thank you. If you guys would like to see more of Crazy Kevin, you can see him on the Two Fat Guys podcast. Kevin, if you'll let people know where they can catch that podcast.
Sure can. But check out me and my man Dan Jones every Saturday, except for the 18th. We may do a pre-recorded one. We haven't figured it out yet. But check us out normally on Saturdays at 8 o'clock on YouTube and Facebook on the Two Fat Guys podcast, 99 on YouTube, and Two Fat Guys podcast on Facebook. You can also follow us on TikTok on the Two Fat Guys podcast, 99, and Instagram is the same. We are doing Spooky Month for October. We're doing our battles of horror legends versus each other this weekend for the rest of the month. So check us out this Saturday. Me and Dan got a lineup for y'all. Two Fat Guys podcast. Thank you, Chris, for having me on. We got to get Danny on here when you got not such a heavy subject for him to come and hang out with you too, because he's been saying he been wanting to come and do your show for a little bit.
He need to give me a topic that he want to talk about. Then I can.
Oh, okay. I will let him know that then.
I can figure out what I can do in my schedule to make it happen. Because he needs to be on here too.
Definitely. But yeah, thank you once again for having us. And I also want to thank my wife for coming on here. When I presented this to her, she was willing. I thought she was going to say no at first, so shout out to you. I know this is different for you to be such on the forefront. You're normally that background person. So, so yeah, she's the one. She's the one, people who stay putting Danny and not even time out doing the show.
Even my husband.
I put him in time out too.
I got the key, so I can get myself out.
Yes, Viva, thank you. Your first
No
time out
problem.
in the forefront. Hopefully, it
No
won't be your
problem.
last.
It most
So,
likely won't.
yeah, you out there now, girl. You out there now. But to all of our guests, whether you catch this live or you catch it on a rewatch, thank you so much for joining me on Fridays for these in-depth conversations. I enjoy having them with you guys and allowing uh, you all to jump into the conversation as well. I love to hear your feedback and love to hear the camaraderie between those of you in the comments and the guests that come on. So, again, thank you for joining the Coffee and Tea podcast. Like, subscribe, share to our YouTube channel, as well as catch us on our Facebook page there as well. We'll be doing a lot more content on there, just talking about relationships and things like that. So, if you are not familiar with that, going over to Coffee and Tea, hit that like button so that you'll be notified whenever we post content. So enjoy your Friday night. I was getting ready to say Saturday. That's tomorrow. But also check us out. The Lazarus Movement will be doing our If Journey tomorrow at 7 o'clock. So don't miss out on that either. And we'll catch you next time.